Good morning, viewers. You are watching today's edition of Munzer News with me, Tommy Alfie. Manchester United's young star Marcus Rashford is disappointed by government response on food poverty in the United Kingdom. BBC News reported that the United's forward is not happy with the government's response regarding his calls for more action on child poverty. The footballer said a letter from Education Secretary by the name of Gavin Williamson showed a lack of empathy towards protecting the most vulnerable of the country. Mr. Williamson said that the government was committed to support those in need, but did not fully back his child food poverty task force. The youngster is pressing MPs to go further in tackling hunger in families. Marcus Rashford continues and successfully campaigned to extend free school meals this summer. This action evokes the government for a U-turn on this issue. Earlier this month, Rashford continued his campaign, which established a task force with some of the United's biggest food retailers such as Tesco, Asda, and Fair Share Charity. The task force is calling for three policy changes in the government recommended by the National Food Strategy Review to be funded by the government as soon as possible. As a response, Gavin Williamson highlighted the existing government schemes to combat food poverty, including food parcels, voucher schemes, and food funds. The Education Secretary stopped short for throwing government support behind calls to expand free school meals to all households on universal credits and two other key recommendations. The British politician recognizes that Rashford and the Child Poverty Task Force are supporting three of the recommendations in the National Food Strategy relating to food lower income in families. The government will carefully consider each of the recommendations in the report as the government will approach the next spending review. Even though the footballer did not have any education in politics, Rashford showed up with his voice and continued to use it for the millions of them that were not being heard. The 22-year-old drive his own to three government policies implemented without delay. Accompanied by the Child Food Poverty Task Force, the youngster reported that letting millions of children in the United Kingdom go hungry in the nighttime is the only issue of humanity. Rashford also continued his campaign through social media as he tweets on Twitter regarding his concern against food poverty in the UK during this COVID-19 pandemic. British conservative politician by the name of Robert Halvan incredibly, incredibly described the government response to child poverty as a lot of clothes pegs without a washing line, claiming individual food programs but the national strategy was required. In BBC Breakfast, Mr. Halban said that Marcus Rashford's action is incredibly important as he was putting the major issue into the national awareness. The chair of Education Select Committee also reported that childhood hunger in the United Kingdom is a major social injustice happening right now in the United Kingdom. The government needs to treat this issue with real seriousness and it made a priority for the nation. Mr. Halvan urged the government immediately to extend free school meals across the school holiday, saying funds from the sugar tax would be able to cover the cost and no additional money would be required. That is all, viewers, for today's edition of Munzer News. I am Tommy Alfie. Have a delightful morning.